Welcome to JBL Bites, where we say the things other owners don't want to say out loud. We have 60 years experience between the two of us. My co-host, Hudson Austin.
With you as always.
Appreciate that. We pull back the curtains on the shit that needs to be done in order to try and maintain this business with profitability and sensibility.
Survivability.
Yada,
Maybe
yada,
a little
yada.
bit of happiness here and there.
Fuck, there's no happiness in it. The happiest is the day you sell it. It's like fucking owning a boat. Your happiest day is the day you get it.
The day you get it,
and
the day you sell
you
it.
get rid of it.
This is true.
So, all right, today we're talking a little bit about, can great food be enough if you have shitty service?
So, John, you've owned restaurants for 25 years at this point, and let me ask you a single question.
Okay, go for it.
What do you think?
One question.
Just one question.
Only one.
Just one question.
Just one question. Go ahead.
What do you think is more important? Great food or great service in a restaurant?
Well, I mean, I think you need both, first and foremost. I don't think more important is tough. But I tell my staff all the time, a great server can make a shitty meal good, but a shitty server can make a great meal bad. So I guess I kind of answer my own question. Service is more important.
Over all these years, and you're in the restaurant business, and you're a chef, and you're telling me that food doesn't matter as much as service?
No. So I don't want to say that food doesn't matter. The food matters. Food is what gets the people there, right? Food is the reason that they're coming in the door, okay? But you're in a very saturated market now. If you were in the 80s, going into the 90s, everything was food-centric. It was food. That was what was most important. But now it's about experience. So that service, that hospitality that we talk so much about, is going to trump everything. So yes, the food needs to be there. The consistency has to be there. But if the service is bad, the food's not going to be enough to carry that customer back again. But if you have an off experience, I'm not saying consistently bad food. I'm saying if you have a night where something isn't right, that server has the ability to turn that around and make sure that they're going to come back and give you another shot. Make sure that maybe they're not posting that one online bad review.
Right, of course.
Make sure that they're not leaving so upset. Sometimes people just want you to acknowledge the mistake.
Right.
Or they just want, the first thing everybody says is, oh, I want something for free. Giving something for free isn't always the best route for solving the problem. Accountability first and foremost, noticing that there's an issue, not having the server have to, ask you and then you having to point it out.
For sure.
That goes a long way. That then all of a sudden that customer starts to have to feel this like, wow, they noticed me. I'm important.
Right.
And then now you can kind of skip back. Plus at the end of the day, you might be having an appetizer, you might be having an entree. So for example, I can give you a story of it's kind of ironic you asked me that question. That wasn't even our topic for today. So, I just was at a Jersey Shore restaurant. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to.
Well, they're not paying you.
No, this is not a good experience. So
oh no.
They wouldn't be paying me for this one.
Okay.
But I was at the restaurant. It's one of my, for many years, most favorite restaurants to go to.
Right.
Down at the beach. It's a BYOB. I like it very much. It is my place. If you were to ask me where to go on the Jersey Shore, this is where I recommend.
Right. Always. Yeah.
All the time. This is where you want to. You want a great meal? This is where you want to go. And part of it was because of their hospitality. Hospitality at tourist places generally is not great.
Right.
They're pissed off.
Get them in, get them out.
They don't care if you're coming back.
Churn them and burn them is the mentality.
Yeah. So this place has other restaurants in the Philadelphia area, and they bring a part of their staff down there every year. So it's well-seasoned, trained staff that is familiar with the product, is familiar with the process, and they bring that to the Jersey Shore. And for me, that was just so important. And I had heard from a couple people that had people that had maybe slipped a little bit in the last year or so, but they're incredibly busy, hard to get a reservation. Often we just walk in and kind of wait until we can,
And
until we
hope
can
for a
get
table to
something.
open.
And this particular night we had a reservation, but it wasn't until later. It was like 8:45. But we got there and the restaurant was still bustling. 8:45, 9 o'clock. They're still going strong.
That's something in this day and age
yeah.
that we live in now, where everybody wants to be home by 7:30.
And so we're seated and we're greeted, by this younger server, at bubbly and so nice and so sweet, and goes through the specials very clearly, opens up our wine, comes back, takes our order, pours the prosecco. So everything was going kind of swimmingly. So we put in the order and we got 2 appetizers. Appetizers were phenomenal, great. I mean, I was like excited. Like the one was a newer dish that I was not familiar with there because their menu doesn't change very much, and I was. I'm like, I want to replicate this when I go home. Like this is like, it was that good. Like I enjoyed it.
You're like,
I enjoyed it.
ordering a second one so you can deconstruct it.
Now, at a restaurant like this, we typically order entrees because it's a BYOB. This is how they make their money.
Sure.
I'm not a big entree guy. I'm more of a small plate, fun, sit at the bar
we've certainly done that
But this
together.
is one of the places that we, we typically go to. And so we're at this place. The appetizer's great. The entrees come out, and we got a fish and a chicken dish, and the fish was it was really overcooked. I don't want to say inedible. I mean, you could eat it, but
Was it like thin fish, or was it
No,
like
it was a
sea
thick
bass, or
fish
was it like
that's
branzino or something?
It was halibut. Very
Okay.
difficult fish to overcook.
Yeah.
And it
It's
$56
thicker and richer, yeah.
for the entree.
Wow.
I expect it to be a
Spot
little,
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little better. As do I expect the service to be, hey,
Right.
the server comes over, as soon as the plates hit, everything come out okay. I don't mind that. I don't train my staff to do that. I train my staff to know that the stuff came out.
Right.
The expediter, this, that. You shouldn't have to go to a table and say, did everything come out okay? You should know
That
that
everything
came out
right.
okay.
Yeah.
But I don't, it doesn't give me pause. It doesn't bother me when somebody does that. But now you have to make 2 stops back to the table because
Sure.
now you got to wait till I taste the food to come
Right.
back and say, oh,
How was everything?
how is everything? Right. So I just prefer let them get a bite
one-
or
the
two.
one stop.
Yes.
Right.
No, make sure, rely on your expediters to make sure that you've put things in place to make sure that it's
Right.
proper.
That's,
you know what I mean?
That comes
Give
with
them
the 25 years of seasoned,
Yeah.
time.
Give
So-
me a second or two, and then and then hit the table. But I understand things come out wrong. You don't know. Maybe it was a modification. Maybe you were surprised, and if that's the way you train your staff, perfectly fine. So she comes over. We hadn't had a bite yet. So everything came out great. Thank you so much. Now she's right, like a POS station is 5 feet away, 10 feet away, right? And it's the end of the night, it's starting to kind of empty out. A couple tables still coming in, but for the most part, it's getting a little quieter. Her section is quiet now. And we taste the fish very dry. And so, like kind of waiting, and she's over there putting in her tips. Got her stack of slips and putting in her
Right.
tips.
So she's got time to be attentive
So,
to you, and
a little bit, a little bit time goes by, Wine hasn't been poured yet. Again, BYOB.
Right.
Maybe their policy is
Could be
we
either
pour
one.
the first
Right.
glass. After that, it's on you for liability issues. She had opened the wine. The glasses were on the table. The table set with the glasses. I pulled out. I poured my own wine. Waiting, still nothing. Finally, I set the dish to the side, put the chicken dish in the middle. Me and Jen start, we're just sharing. Right. We're sharing the chicken dish. We get completely through the chicken dish, still ignored. Right now, the other side is
Wow.
The other side of the table. There's a different server there at this table. He's been kind of in the area, but not responsible for our table. The server then gets some of their checkouts, walks right past the table. Now we have the dish clearly to the side. We're sharing the one in the middle. We've not touched it. So at this point now, we're done the chicken. Still nobody's been to the table. Empty water glasses, and our champagne flutes have been sitting there.
waiting to be
The table's
cleared.
a little cluttered,
Right.
right? Which drives me nuts. Pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, mine too.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the table's a little cluttered, and we have the chicken dish, right? We split that. She finally comes back to the table after we kind of stacked everything up. And again, the server to the other side sees the stacked up plates and doesn't do anything. That fucking drives me nuts more than anything. I train my staff. Every table is your table. You help each other out. You pass a table because you're only hurting me.
Right.
And if you're hurting me, that's hurting the restaurant. If you're
Yep.
hurting the restaurant, that is
hurting
hurting
yourself.
you on another day
Yeah.
when somebody's not there because they didn't come back and were slow.
Right.
So you help everybody out. So that miffed me a little bit, but miffed me at the guy, not the situation, but the guy was like that kind of aloof to just be like, it's not relevant, right? So now the server comes back to the table and And I was like, I'm not a send it back kind of guy. I don't generally complain. I just kind of, but this is, again, all we're getting. It's not like I'm getting a bunch of small plates. This is it.
This is it.
And the fact that you didn't come back and check, it's $50-some, and we didn't eat a bite. We had one bite. Like, we each took one bite and agreed,
and said,
this is
too dry, we're not going to eat it. Yeah.
And I said, that just was really wasn't good. It was very dry. And what she said to me next is what set me off. She said, you should have told them. And I said, well, I said, I would have told you had you come back to the table. She goes, I've been here multiple times. I said, no, you were here one time since the entrees came out and we hadn't tasted it yet. And so she's like, well, I wish I would have known. We would have. Do you want something else? Do you want something to go? Do you want? And I'm like, no, it's fine. Just take off the check. Move on. Do you want to hear about our desserts? And I'm like, yeah, I love to hear about the desserts. I always, I'm an espresso guy. I love my espresso at the end of the night, and I have a sweet tooth. And again, I don't want to mention the desserts. I don't want to give the place away.
I got it.
But there's a particular dessert there. That's like one of my favorite desserts to get at the Jersey Shore. Like, I enjoy it. And so, we were excited to get the dessert and an espresso. And so she, read off the desserts and then she left. So I was like, I'm just like looking at Jen and I'm like, is it me? Or like, because I feel like I was made to feel like I was wrong.
Right.
I did
I screw up?
I did the wrong thing. I didn't go to this, kind of high-end restaurant that has pretentious level fucking service, that is charging $56 for an entree. I didn't wave down the waitress that should have come back and, and checked. Sure. I didn't wave down somebody to get water. I didn't ask them can you clear the mess off of my table? Like, I did something wrong here?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I definitely was frustrated in my response when she said that, but I didn't yell. I wasn't egregious. I would never do that to a server. Sure. It's just not my style. Unless it's my own servers and I'm really screwing up. Then I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? But I wouldn't do it out. So we're sitting there. Now, this particular place, the servers all dress in this same...
They have a set uniform.
They have a set uniform. And so another server came over to the table, or presumably manager, server, not sure, because she didn't address herself. She didn't identify herself. She didn't say, I am so-and-so, and I understand there was an incident.
Right.
Which I thought that's what she was coming over for. I was like,
sure.
all right. She's coming over to apologize for the fish being overcooked, anything we can do, this and that, you know what I mean? And, like I said, we enjoyed everything. We were having a great time. We're going to have dessert. We're going to hang. We've been there many, many times. There's another occasion where we had something a little overcooked that was dried. It happens. Right. It's busy. It's this. It's that. Right. It's whatever.
It's possible to make a mistake.
So she comes over to the table. And she goes, "I understand that you were very mean to our server, and we can't have that here." And I was so taken aback. I looked at John and said, "I was mean." I was like, "What do you mean?" I said, she hadn't been to the table. I said, I addressed the fact that this fish was overcooked.
Wow.
I said, she stayed at the table and, started to, and she just kind of disrupted me in the middle of me speaking and was just like, yeah, well, we're taking care of the fish and you can go. We don't have people talk to our servers like that. And walked away. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, wow, I've thrown people out of my restaurant. This is what it feels like. I'm like, am I getting a dose of my own medicine here? I'm like, was I that bad? And she's like, no, she was like, I would tell you if you were, being in
yeah. Like, Jen would grab your arm and be like, John.
Yeah, you shouldn't have done that in her very passive, nice way. Right, know. And so I was like, I was literally stunned. We sat there for another 15 minutes because you didn't say, I'm taking care of your check. Right. So I'm taking the fish off of your bill.
Right.
And you can go.
Right. So now you still need your check.
Now I guess we're not getting dessert.
Right.
I'm not getting my espresso. Right.
It was just kind of weird though that she went through and she went and told somebody that how mean you were, but yet she still offered the desserts where she stood there.
Which that I found was very odd. So we sat there for almost 15 minutes. And this was just a couple nights ago this happened. Right. I mean, this is not like an old thing.
Yeah. This is like recent.
Literally just happened. And so we were on a Monday night, mind you. Not even on a busy Friday, Saturday night. This is a Monday night.
Right.
I try to patronize businesses
Sure,
on the
sure.
off days. So after like 15 minutes of sitting there, nobody comes to the table. Nobody will come near us. I'm like, so finally I said to Jen, like, we got to get some. You're just going to have to try and get some. We're never going to leave. We finished our wine, a wonderful bottle of Farniente. I wasn't going to sit there and let that sit.
Right,
It was a wonderful wine. And, so we finished the wine and finally weighed somebody down. The server comes over and she goes, your whole bill's been taken care of. And I was like, I said, listen, I'm really sorry if you felt that I was offensive, if I offended you in any way. I said, I was just trying to explain that, this was this. I said, I own restaurants. I train staff. And I said, and when you said to me, you should have, you then made me feel like I was doing something wrong.
Like I was somehow
when you were
responsible
never
here.
back at the table.
Right.
And I said, you keep saying you came to the table, but you did not come beyond asking me prior to me tasting anything. And I said, so that was all I meant. And I'm really sorry if, in any way that hurt your feelings or you were upset. It was not my intention whatsoever. I said, and furthermore, I appreciate that you guys are, not giving us a bill, but I would like to pay for my food. I ordered 4 items. I enjoyed 3 of the 4 items thoroughly.
Very much, yeah.
I appreciate you taking the fish off the menu. Can I please have my check? I would like to pay. Fine. Walks away, goes right over to the POS system. Again, not addressing with any management, any decisions that are being made here. So I don't even know who's making these decisions.
Right?
Leaves the table, goes right to the POS, prints out the check, brings the check, puts it down, and walks away. I was like, so we had a gift.
I'm gobsmacked here.
You and me both. And so we walked away, and she walked away, and I had a gift certificate of one of my staff members, again, knows how much I like the restaurant,
Right.
because we go there all the time, says, I'm going to give you a gift certificate because I know that's where you like it. And the gift certificate covered more than the bill. And after the reduction, it was like $100. You know what I mean? It was, we had an entree to appetizers. We never had the opportunity to get the coffees and the desserts and, all the things that raise that check average.
Right.
Well, you just kicked me out the door and you didn't get that. And you took an entree off. And so I put the gift certificate down and I put $40 down. Well, more than 20%, because I did not feel that the server did a bad job.
Right.
I was more upset with the management than the server.
If it was even a manager.
Or whatever it was. I was more upset with that and how that was all handled.
Sally, the other server.
But the reason for my story is it lends exactly to what you're saying. I have been there myriad times. Love the restaurant. I have sent many people there. I enjoyed 3 out of my 4 dishes. I wanted to continue to be there. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And if she had just handled that situation a little bit better, I would have continued to enjoy my night, and it would have never been a conversation beyond that. The fish was disappointing. We know not to get that next time, or hopefully next time it'll be better. But instead, the server's behavior and then the management's behavior, I left there so embarrassed. I felt so embarrassed. I felt like such a bad person, and not even knowing why. And now I will never I sent off an email to the owner because at one of my other locations, we happen to be neighborly with some of their other restaurants.
Oh, wow.
Because my initial thing was, I'm going to fucking post this on social. I stood out front. I did a fucking video. I did this whole thing. And Jen's like, listen, you need to go home and sleep this one off.
Yeah.
And then, you do what you want to do tomorrow, but you need to think it through. And I did. I'm like, you know what? I would just want someone to tell me. And and like I said, we are, neighbors. And so, I just sent off a very thoughtful email to say, this was my experience. But even if he were to come back and say, I'm so sorry, it's this and that, or here's that, I'll never set foot in that. I will never go to that restaurant again. And it's just a perfect example. And I even said in the email that I sent to the guy, I understand defending staff. I have done it. I've thrown people out of the restaurant. I've told them never to come back. It is a ballsy move. It is a big move. It is, can be financially detrimental because that person is going to go tell people.
Right.
But, if they cross a line with your staff, then it's okay to have their back. I agree with it. I just don't think I did anything egregious, and I don't think the management came and asked me what was going on.
Right.
To
hey, what's going on?
To get to that point. Like, at least come to the table and say, hey, I don't understand. Like the server's saying this, but she just took what the server said at face value, this young girl, and that was it. And so because of that, not only have they lost a customer, but they lost somebody that touts about this
there was a
restaurant.
champion of the restaurant.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in a situation that I think did not. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'll leave you to figure out who the restaurant is. I'm sure if you do some math and connect some dots.
Yeah, but I mean that goes, just because what we're talking about here is just the broad spectrum of it. Let's just take that particular single location, but that goes to absolutely illustrate sort of a belief that you have, and one that's very closely aligned to what I believe is that the good to great service can fix anything, but bad service can completely destroy whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean 1,000%.
And good for you for not saying the name of the place and being because that's something most people get right on Yelp or whatever, any of the myriad of review platforms, because everybody thinks they're a food critic now and they just blast the place.
Yeah, it's not my
and who knows what it could be. But you also did, I think the really right thing here too is that you reached out directly to the owner to say, hey, here's the scoop of what happened. I want you to know. Not because I'm trying to get anything out of you.
It was the first line I said. I want you to know. I don't want anything in return.
Right.
Because I really don't, because it's a new point. I was so embarrassed and pinpointed by the entire staff. I would never feel comfortable sitting in that restaurant again. Sure. Now, to play devil's advocate to that story, I have another experience where I was in a bar restaurant. Again, I don't want to say the name. And, we had ordered some food and the chicken had come out a little undercooked. So, and we, had kind of, put it to the side and we continued on with the meal. We had been there many times, never had an issue. There was no reason to think that it was anything other than just
a fluke.
New guy in the kitchen, whatever, abnormal instance, whatever it was.
5 minutes off on the timer.
Yeah, not going to say a word. And that bartender was so adamant about making it right, but not obtrusively. It was, hey, what's going on over here? What's going on over here? Not everything's fine. Nah, I can tell it's a little undercooked. It looks a little undercooked, and he just made sure that he's like, let me handle that. So, no, we don't need anything else. And he took it upon himself to go and make sure that we got another one and made sure that it was cooked right and brought it out. And it was just the accountability, hey, I want to show you that we can do this correctly.
Right.
And I want you to experience it
the
correctly.
way it's supposed to be done. Yeah.
So, and I think that lends more than just saying, I'll take it off the bill.
Right.
That insistence of, and then you make a decision. Take it off the bill. But you're not taking it off the bill just to appease the situation. You're taking it off the bill as some kind of compensation, but you're making sure that they know that you can handle that dish correctly. They know that it tastes as delicious as you want them to think that it, that it tastes. Now, I'm a bigger fan of, instead of removing from the check, giving them the opportunity to come back and have something for free then.
Right.
Give them a $50 gift card. Give them a reason to come back and make sure that you make the experience. Put that note in that computer. Make sure that that next time they make a reservation, we know they had a bad experience. Send that dish out again when they sit down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't even say anything. Let them order. They're not going to order it again. So, but send it out. Say, hey, listen, I want to make sure that you, again, no, this is how we do this dish. Right. And we recognize who you are and we apologize for it. And like those things, I think, is what will win you over loyalty. That's what lends to the hospitality. And that is where I think a server can flip
a bad experience.
Yeah.
Right. I go both directions on that, because I'm a believer of, if somebody's got it depends on, I guess it depends on where the error lies on the dish too, like what it's a wild line. What the situation is, as far as how far you take it. Because if something comes out and it's undercooked, it's very easy to either let me have them cook this a little bit more. If somebody says no, then you just have somebody make another one and bring another one out. That costs you less in food costs than it does losing the goodwill of the experience, right? For sure. and I think it's almost like you have to look at those situations. That's why it's always good to have a manager, somebody that you can absolutely trust with the decision-making process there, where if they come out and they look and it's like 90% done, like we always joke about, like, well, you're complaining now, but you only left this part of the skin.
Yeah.
Like
I'm feeling in my first scenario, it was a Monday night, and it was not a manager. It was a closer, and it was somebody that was flexing and, had not been trained properly on how to de-escalate a situation. Yeah. And I think that's a key word. I think de-escalation, and listen, I have had many in my 25 years escalated experiences where I've had to throw somebody out, or where even they've pushed my button so hard that it's gone sideways, and then I'm regrettable. I regret it later.
You've done,
So it's a range of emotions. It's very difficult. You're taking financial frustrations out. You're taking the frustrations out of another customer, or a bad day, or a long weekend, or a holiday.
I had a flat tire on my way in. Yeah. Whatever.
So I mean, there is those escalated instances that you have to kind of work through, and as you mature and get better, you fix. But I think the training needs to be the opposite, and that is, how do I de-escalate? How do I not let a customer leave upset? And I think that's the most important thing. And you're not going to make every customer happy. Like that's
not once something's gone wrong.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
You
can really try.
Whether it's a rye or not a rye, there's instances where they're just not happy. Right. You've executed it to your standards perfectly. This is our dish. This is our meal. This is where we're at. This is what we do. But for whatever reason, that customer didn't like it. That's going to happen. And you're going to have to be able to deal with that the best way possible to let them leave and not want to beat you up.
So, how do we, as people who are in this business, how do we get our staff to go through and do things the right way and do all that, short of hiring and creating our own hostage negotiation course? How do we actually get people and the staff members to get better at dealing with those things? What's an easy, like 1, 2, 3? Do this, do this, do this. Because there's got to be 3 things that you can sort of boil it down to.
First and foremost, no server should be handling that situation.
Number one.
That's your top thing. That takes the server out of the equation.
Right.
And I try to tell my servers that all the time. Put yourself in a position to not be accountable. Put yourself in a position to not be responsible. Put yourself in a position to know that you've handed off what you needed to hand off. Right. Whether you did something wrong as the server, whether the restaurant did something wrong, or whether the customer is just being difficult, you have to own it.
Right.
And you have to hand it off to the person that you've now trained. Now you're training one person or 2 or 3 managers to have the thought process that you want, to handle it the way that you want. Right. Servers are transient. They're here, they're there. You're never going to get them to all be trained to handle.
Well, and we have the skill set because a lot of them are young.
Yeah.
Right. We deal with with a lot of young people in the business. So I mean that's a huge thing. So that's number one. So go get somebody to handle. Go get that third person involved to immediately step in and go, hey, good evening. My name is so and so. I understand there's an issue. How can I help?
Then within reason, and I almost hate to say this out loud for people to see, but within reason, you do what you have to do to make that customer happy. Because that customer leaving and posting a bad review, posting something on social media, everything is so instant and so spread and so quick, and cancel culture and everything else. So you have to do everything you can. And that doesn't mean that you're going to appease the customer. It doesn't mean if they don't like your chicken parm, it doesn't mean if you send out another one, they're going to like your chicken parm. Right. It means make sure they're heard.
Right.
Make sure the customer is heard. Their opinion is valuable. They are validated in their feelings, whatever it is, because it's their opinion. Right. It's their feelings.
Right. And it is all subjective at that point. And I'm a believer.
It's not our job to tell you how to feel about the dish.
Yeah.
We've done everything that we can. So if we've done everything we can, just do whatever you got to do.
Right.
whether it's taking it off the check, seeing if they want to have something else, sending them with food to go, whatever it is that's going to make them happy.
Right. And I believe in putting that back on the guest, not in saying this is your fault, but in saying, I'm here now. How can I help? Leave that very open.
Which brings me to the third thing. How can I help? So now you have to listen to the customer, right? You're listening to what now that customer is saying. We loved 3 out of the 4 dishes. Just didn't like that. And we thought the service was a little spotty. Then you're coming in with the response saying, you know what? That's not acceptable. That's not how we do things here. And that's not the norm. And so, listen, I'm going to take the entree off, okay? I want to give you a $50 gift card to come back again. This is my personal number. You let me know when you're coming in.
That's the over-delivery.
I'm going to make sure that you get what our experience is supposed to be. I'm going to make sure that you have the full experience the way that it's supposed to be, and you're going to love it, and we're going to win you over. And I'm so sorry that this is how this went down tonight, right? So now you've validated their feelings, right? I agree. You didn't like it? Not a problem.
You've validated, you've offered and asked, how can I help? And then you've delivered on that and gone above, because that to me is the win.
Defending. So you're validating, right?
Yep.
You're validating.
Right.
You are then discussing the experience, right? And then you're offering something.
Right.
Right. And by offering something, that middle part, that listening to the experience and fixing it, that's your I'm going to take that off your check.
Right. That's your opportunity.
I'm going to take this off your check, right? So you fixed it. That's the fix.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
But the offer has to be more. The offer can't be...
It can't just be the same.
You can't just say, well, yeah, you know what? We fucked that up, so we're not going to make you pay for it.
Right.
That's not an offer. That's not a compensation.
That's how do I get my time back?
Right? So it's like, okay, I'll get you another dish. I'll take it off your bill. I'll do whatever you want me to do. The offer then is listen, this is not a normal experience. We want to make sure that you come back and experience the way that it's supposed to be. That's the offer. And that's the critical part, because if they leave saying, well, it was shitty, but I didn't pay for it.
Right.
You don't know that they're going to come back.
But the odds are that there's so many choices. The odds are they're not coming back.
Yes.
Odds are they're just likely to just not complain as strongly.
Now,
because they'll still probably bitch about the fact that they got the overcooked fish, but they took it off the check and it was fine or whatever. But that, hey, they got the overcooked fish is the place when somebody then says, what place? And if they're not doing what you're doing by saying, I'm not going to say the name of the place, that person says, oh, it was so-and-so down the street. It always used to be good, but maybe something slipped.
And I'll take it with this.
Boom.
I left feeling embarrassed.
Right. So that's even worse.
So now you can offer me whatever. I'm not coming back. But if you handle it at the table properly, you're letting that customer know, not only do we value you, not only are we validating your feelings, but we value you enough that we want you back in the seat. Like, please come back and give us another chance. You're not letting that person walk out the door, waiting for them to complain and then say, come on in. Like, no, I'm not fucking coming back in there. Like, I feel...
Right. I can go over here. I can go over there.
I feel like, what? So you can all look at me and stare at me and I feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
That's that asshole John that made Susie cry.
I mean, so that's how I would handle, Now, to play devil's advocate to that, you have a customer that is just insubordinate. It's a no-win situation. You don't want them back because you're just going to have the same problem the next time. And that's where you have to kind of, that's that gray area where you need those managers to get in there and be accountable for saying, I don't think that this is a customer we want. Because not every customer is a good fit. Not every restaurant's a good fit for the customer. Not every customer is a good fit for the restaurant. And that's where you just got to cut your tie. What do I got to do at the table right now to appease this situation? You don't have to pay for any of this. You don't have to pay for that. I'm going to send you out a dessert as well. You do whatever just to pacify them and make sure that they're not crowing to everybody.
Right.
That if they start bitching and moaning about the restaurant, they feel bad.
That gets you over the other side.
Bad about it. Like, you know what I mean? You've done everything you can. But if you let them leave pissed off, then it's done. Then that's when they want to tell everybody because they're angry. Like me, leaving pissed off. Right. I wanted to post to social media. And I'm not even, that's not my style. But I was like, fucking, I want to hurt these guys. Right. Like, I want to make them suffer for the way that they made me feel.
Yeah. Look at, do you need a hug?
No, it's like therapy in every fucking podcast. I swear to God, it's unbelievable. All right, I think we've exhausted this topic. I mean,
I think at least to some degree. I'm sure we'll bring it back around again
we have
because
enough
it's so
minutes?
important.
Do we have enough minutes of mumbling to call it? We're getting the okay from the film guys, from the podcast masters, from the editors. They're saying it's okay to wrap this one up.
All right.
So, do you want to say anything about this wine? This absolutely delicious, or you just it's
listen,
not in your portfolio.
It's
so you
not
don't
in the
wanna talk about it.
portfolio, but to me,
But it
you
is
know,
good.
I have this penchant for, drinking old wine. Like I love to drink older wine because everybody drinks their wines too young. They drink their wines too young and too warm if they're red wines and too cold if they're white wines. And, I don't have that many people to share this kind of stuff with. So it's always fun when we get together and I can share something like this with you that I know you can't go buy, so I'm not even trying to sell you on it. I just want to experience it with somebody else that can at least wrap their head around and appreciate
so
it.
I want to ask a question,
Yeah.
being that I am not a wine connoisseur. I mean, I know what I like, and,
Yeah,
and I
that's it.
enjoy good wines. But my question on this is a white Burgundy,
Yes.
okay? And so this particular one is just pretty big.
It's a rich,
very
mouth-filling wine.
And so
a lot of cashew and honey. The honey's coming from the aging, right? This is a 2015.
So that was my question. So with that aging, it almost is starting to get that, not vinegar,
No,
but that,
but it's starting to like
that where you're
just
like, is this turning?
slightly
Is
oxidize
this-
a tiny
so-
little bit?
Yeah,
it's
so
a
am I-
little
that's-
reductive.
so
Yeah,
is that
it's a little reductive.
That's a good notice on that?
Absolutely
Okay,
true.
all right. I just
Absolutely
wanted
true.
to,
right, but this to me is when you can see like the slowness of those tears. That's just viscosity, right?
Right.
So, or you want to get really technical, it's the evaporation rate of alcohol if the surface area of the glass based on the tensile strength.
2
of the
plus
liquid.
2 divided by 3 is
But this is one of those things that it's like it's cool to drink because there's so precious little of stuff like this out there. That's part of what makes this fun. This is what makes wine fun anyway.
I like it.
Right?
I like
There
it.
we go.
It was delicious. I think it's warmed up a little bit. We could have probably had it a little cold.
No,
Should we just throw
this
ice
is
cubes
where it
in there?
is. I will slap you.
That's the perfect ending.
Perfect wrap up for the day.
As I always like to say, remember, the hardest time is not in the beginning. The hardest time is all the time. Until our next one. Cheers,
Cheers,
my friend.
everybody.
Like, follow, share, comment, whatever
Subscribe.
all that shit is. Subscribe. No phone a friend.